Hello. Today's video is going to be about the 7 tips you need to know when you're starting a ketogenic diet or lifestyle. So tip number 1 is to learn the rules. So with any type of diet or lifestyle change, there's always going to be guidelines you need to follow, and keto is no exception to the rule. There are definite guidelines that you need to follow to be successful in this journey. So I'm going to go ahead and share with you guys what I follow on my ketogenic diet. So if you're new to this or have never heard of it, keto basically focuses on 3 things. It is low carb, moderate protein, and high fats. So I'll give you the example that I use to follow. Basically, out of all of the calories I consume in a day, 75% of them need to come from healthy fat sources. 20% need to come from protein sources, and only 5% from carbohydrates. Now, I'm not a person that follows a specific calorie limit. I don't track my calories per se, but I do focus on having 20 total carbohydrates or less per day. Some people on the ketogenic journey follow net carb count and not total carb count. I focus on total carb count. If you don't know what net carbs are, it's basically your total carbohydrates minus any fiber grams you have, and that gives you your net. So an example would be if I had 15 carbohydrates and I had 5 fiber grams, then my total net carbs would only be 10. So it is good to know those. That leads me to tip number 2, which is to track your macros. So macros are just that. It is your carbohydrates, your fats, and your protein. Now, I use an app called MyFitnessPal. It's free on Apple and Android. And it's a great resource because not only does it allow me to enter in everything, and it breaks down my macros, which is carbs, protein, and fat, but also you can search restaurants and their menus, you can search fast food places, you can create your own recipes and it'll break it down for you. It's a user-friendly, easy app to do. So that is step 2. Step number 3, sorry, I wrote them down, this is a big one for me. Step number 3, or tip number 3, is to add variety to this. If you're doing this as a lifestyle and not just a diet, you want to make sure that this is something you can stick with for the long haul. And believe me, variety matters. So for me, what I mean is try lots of recipes, try different types of food. We love Mexican food here and Italian food in my family. But there are a lot of great Asian recipes. There are a lot of great Indian recipes. There's all kinds of stuff that you can find on the internet and just make it keto approved or adapted. There's a lot of resources out there that'll already have keto recipes ready to go. And all you have to do is just give them a shot. You definitely want to make sure that you don't get into a rut and become very repetitive, because once you're repetitive, you're going to get bored and you're going to want to give up, and that's not what we want. So make sure that you add variety into this lifestyle. Tip number 4 is to meal plan and prep. So I'm a mom of 4 and a wife, so I have to focus on creating, my menu, so to speak, for the week. Not only just so I know that I'm compliant on the diet, but also for budget purposes as well. Now, food prepping is a little different. Usually when I go shopping for the week, the first thing that I do is I cook up some meat for the week that I can have for lunches. And usually I'll roast vegetables with it. I'll put them in little, refrigerator containers. And then on the days that I need to make lunch just for myself, which is pretty much Monday through Friday, I have options that'll take me 2 or 3 minutes to warm up in the microwave, and I'm good to go. That hands down is a lifesaver on this diet, because it helps to avoid you having to go to fast food places and make bad decisions. This way you already know ahead of time how many carbs are in it, how many fat grams, what your protein is, all that stuff. So I definitely recommend, if you can, to prep some food in advance. Also, another way to do it is when you're making dinner, if you make a little extra, put it aside and eat that as your lunch the next day. Great thing to do, saves on money, saves on stress. You don't have to think about your food, it's just there. So that's a good tip. So tip number 5 is to do your research. That is the best thing that I can tell you. With your research, that means, like, for me, I needed to know what I could do in a pinch and still stay on this diet. So I looked up certain fast food joints that our family goes to a lot, and I looked at what I can eat and how many carbs, and I had them written down with me so that I just knew on a whim. I didn't have to get out my phone and search things while waiting in line at the drive-thru. I just knew at, In-N-Out, I can have, the animal style protein double, and it was X amount of carbs. Or I knew that at Carl's Jr. or Hardee's, I guess they call it in other states, I know that I can have their low carb burger. Or if I go to McDonald's, I know what I can have, or Taco Bell, or even restaurants per se. Oh, hands down. If you have a Chipotle or a Freebirds, one of the things I love is you can get basically a burrito without beans or rice in a bowl. So they put whatever meat you want, the guacamole, the sour cream, the cheese, the salsa, all of that in a bowl. You get all the same flavor, none of the carbs. Amazing. Okay, sidebar. Anyways, I had to share. So doing your research ahead of time like that just ensures that when you're in a pinch, you have some solutions so that you don't get totally off track. Now, number 6 is to know your resources and to use your resources. So obviously right here, YouTube is a wealth of knowledge. It has a huge keto community, and there are a ton of great vloggers that share incredible information, stories, ideas, struggles, you name it, they share it, and that is like gold. So definitely use social media. Facebook also has great keto groups. I belong to a few of them, and they're great for recipes. They're great for support. They're great to share your excitement when you hit those huge milestones. It's just great to know that there are a ton of other people across the world that are trying to do the same thing that you're trying to do. It is fantastic. So get plugged in. Also, if you're not into social media, or maybe you just want that actual human connection, see if there's somebody that wants to do this journey with you. Friends, family, coworkers, whatever. For me, I'm fortunate. My mom and I both decided to do low carb diets. She doesn't do keto for her health reasons. She didn't want to focus on that high of a fat content, and that's fine. So she does a modified version. But what's great about that is her and I share recipes. Her and I do our weigh-in days together so that, we can celebrate each other. And then when her and I went on a family camping trip this last weekend, we were eating the same type of things, and we made our meals together. And that it feels so much better to have somebody that is on the same path, so that you don't feel alienated when you can't eat certain things, or when you're, avoiding carbs, or whatever the case. It's nice to know that there's somebody else there with you on this journey. So if you have the support or a person in your life that's willing to do that, by all means, go for it. In the beginning, I was hesitant to tell people I was on this diet. I didn't want to get the negative things. I didn't want people selling me their system or whatever the case. So I didn't tell a lot of people. And then when I started to vlog about it, I thought, okay, well, I want to vlog to people that are on this journey as well, or people that are starting their own journey. So you can take that for what it's worth or leave it. My final tip is tip number 7, and I think it's the most important, is to know that this is your own journey. And it's just that, it's a journey. You're gonna have ups and downs, you're gonna fall off the wagon, you're gonna have great days, bad days, whatever the case. Don't beat yourself up. If you are a person like me that had cheat days, I switched to just doing cheat meals. And even though I try not to do those at all, I just realized that when I do them, it's a slight setback and I don't start all over and then call the next day my new day one. I just continue on. I am still on this journey every day. I'm human. I make mistakes. I learn lessons. I improve, and so on. The other part of this is to document. So in the beginning, I strongly recommend take pictures, take your measurements, and if you're a person that likes to journal, write down every day or at least once a week how you feel, what changes you're noticing, things like that. So, you know, when you hit your goals or a year from now or 3 years from now, you can know what it was like and you can share that information with new people that are starting the journey. Or, you know, when people ask you, well, how was it? You actually have information on what it was like for you, because everybody goes through this journey differently. Some people lose a ton of weight in the beginning and then have stalls. Some people gradually lose weight the whole way through. Some people just do it for health, and it's all great. And we all have the stories to tell. So I highly recommend that you document it some way, somehow for yourself. You'll be glad that you did. So there you go. Those are my 7 tips for starting the ketogenic lifestyle or journey. Please feel free to like this video, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, bye-bye.